Everyone blames the reactor. They're wrong. The number one priority of those in charge of Chernobyl should have been to prevent a disaster, and they failed. And the people in that control room? They followed the rules. The question we ask now is why? At 1:23 a.m., an operator pressed the emergency shutdown button, the one he was trained to trust. Every manual said it would stop the reaction. Instead, it triggered the explosion. For nearly 40 years, the explanation has been simple. Operator error, poor training, a bad test, a clean story, but not the real one. Because the operators didn't misunderstand the reactor. They were never told what it actually was. Most nuclear reactors slow down when they overheat. Chernobyl's reactor did the opposite. As heat increased, so did the reaction. And at low power, it could accelerate faster than anyone could stop it. Soviet engineers knew this. The operators did not, because the flaw was classified. So when the test began, they were already inside a failure that had been decided years earlier. The test had failed 3 times before. In 1986, it would not fail again. A delay pushed it to the night shift. The experienced engineers left. A crew that didn't design the test, didn't fully understand it, was told to complete it anyway. The reactor dropped to unstable levels. They were told to continue. At 1:23:04 a.m., the test began. Seconds later, the reactor surged out of control. At 1:23:40, an operator pressed AZ5, emergency shutdown, the final safeguard. But inside the reactor, the control rods triggered a power spike instead. In seconds, power surged beyond anything measurable. At 1:23:47, the first explosion. 1 second later, the second. The reactor was gone. That wasn't the failure. That was the result. The system response. Radiation monitors maxed out, so officials reported safe levels. The number wasn't real. It was the only number they could send. And decisions were made based on it. 50,000 people stayed in the city. For 36 hours, children went to school. Life continued. The world didn't hear about Chernobyl from the Soviet Union. It heard about it from Sweden, when radiation alarms triggered over 1,000 kilometers away. The system didn't fail in the moment. It failed long before that. In this video, we are going to grade those in charge of Chernobyl, not on how smart they were, not on how powerful they were, but we are going to assess them on how ready they were to do the number one thing they should have been doing, which is prevent a nuclear disaster. And at the end of this video, you will understand more about how to prevent a disaster in your own life. Let's start with context. Context asks, did the system understand reality? The answer is yes, at the top. The flaw was known, but it never reached the operators. Knowledge existed. It just didn't move down to those who needed it. Context, C+. Value. Did the owners of the process value not causing a disaster? The opinion was that Soviet technical superiority was supreme. Engineers knew the flaw. They chose not to fix it, not to share it, not to train for it, because admitting it would break the narrative. So they protected the narrative. And once that decision was made, the failure was already in motion. Value, F. Informational assessment. The design was hidden. The instruments couldn't measure reality. The reports were incomplete. And leadership made decisions on data that couldn't be true. That's not miscommunication. That's a system built to hide the truth. Informational assessment, F. Efficacy. Efficacy asks, did the system work when it mattered most? The shutdown system caused the explosion. The emergency response assumed the reactor couldn't fail this way. The tools didn't fail. They worked exactly as the system designed them to. Efficacy, F. Commitment. Commitment asks, what mattered more, process or outcome? The test had to be completed, even if conditions weren't safe, even if the crew wasn't ready. Commitment to schedule beat commitment to safety. Commitment, F. Effort. Effort asks, did people show up? Did they try? They did. Hundreds of thousands worked to contain the disaster, but only after it occurred. Many paid with their lives. The effort was real, but it was too little too late. But effort after failure can't undo a system designed to fail. Effort, C-. Overall, F. They failed in almost every area of their readiness, and people paid for it with their lives. The explosion didn't create the failure, it revealed it. The real root cause wasn't the operator, it wasn't the test, it wasn't even the reactor, it was the decision, years earlier, to protect the narrative instead of fix the flaw. And that's what matters, because that decision doesn't just happen in reactors, it happens in systems, every day. The question isn't what failed at Chernobyl, the question is, what has your system decided not to tell you? This is what real root cause is built to find, not the event, the decision behind it. Follow us as we look at a new topic every week if you want to prevent failure. Before it happens, so we don't have to look for a real root cause in your story. Interested in learning more about readiness for change? Click the link in the description below. Until next time.